From AI to Spacetech Startup Digantara, which focuses on space situational awareness, raised $2 million from Aditya, Birla Ventures and SIDBI Venture Capital. The latest capital infusion marks the final close of the Bengaluru-based startup Series A stage of funding at $12 million. In June of 2023, Digantara had raised $10 million, led by Peak 15 partners. Joining me now to discuss their growth plans is Anirudh Sharma, the founder and CEO of Digantara. Anirudh, thank you so much for taking the time and being on our show today. You know, before I get into the Digantara story, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has just announced a successful test flight of the Made in India Agni 5 missile that has been developed by the DRDO. So what does this mean for India and the homegrown space tech industry at this point?
There are a lot of infrastructure projects that are taken up by the government right now. And these are more or less positive signaling to the world that the government is very supportive of the growth of the local and the domestic space sector at this point in time. And we've seen the same thing happening when they recently announced the opening up of the foreign direct investment policy for the space sector, where they've allowed 100% automatic investments in a couple of space-related sectors and 74 automatic in satellite-related sectors and 49 automatic in the launch sectors. All of these, with the infrastructure projects taken up by the Indian government, is just showing a tremendous growth of the local space economy right now.
Absolutely. So big boost coming in there from the government for the space tech industry. But coming back to Digantara, the latest capital infusion marks the final close of your Series A round. So what do you plan to do with the funds that you've raised now?
Digantara, we are working on launching satellites at this point in time for tracking space objects. And these space objects are up to a single centimeter in the orbit. So we're launching 40 satellites in next few years. So these 40 satellites will help us track everything in the lower Earth orbit and create an infrastructure layer, which is absent at this point in time today. So most of our funds are focused towards building these hardware, both space-based and ground-based. We're also building a ground-based infrastructure to track the objects in the geostationary belt from Ladakh.
Right.
So most of our funds today are going towards building this capacity for the object tracking and building the infrastructure for space.
Right. So most of your funds going into those 40 satellites that you're going to build, which is essentially because you operate a space mission assurance platform to maintain safety and sustainability of space operations. So what has the traction been? Who are your clients that you've got on board? Because the last time we spoke to you was when you'd raised your last round in June of last year.
Yeah, I mean, so far we've had good traction on our software platform. The software platform is called Space Map or Space Mission Assurance Platform. This platform today serves a lot of defense and government entities all over the world. Right now, we have a couple of products on the defense side that we are focusing on selling to the Indian government, and we already have Singapore government as one of our first customer on the international side who has procured a lot of data and software analytics from us. So it's still early days in terms of building out the hardware, but on the software side, we've got tremendous traction from multiple agencies across the world at this point in time.
So tremendous traction there on the software side of things. I am going to get into the defense part in detail a little bit, but before that, so what have revenues been like? Where are you at currently, and where do you hope to close this year?
This year we've made good revenues, I would say, close to $1 million, mostly from defense and government side, like I said, because we only have a software platform at this point in time, and we are looking at developing the hardware that we're launching to space very soon.
Right. So speaking of the defense side, you've also unveiled STARS, right, which is a space threat assessment and response suite. So it's a proprietary military and defense suite designed to strengthen national sovereign space capabilities. So it's currently in the beta phase with select government agencies. So what does it do? Which governments are you working with?
So the governments, I cannot mention at this point in time, but what STARS does, I'll just mention a bit about it. So the software that we've built, every country today is looking at developing some of the other space capabilities. And space assets are very important to the national security. Looking at this fact, and we've seen so many wars happen in the past, like Russia, Ukraine, the Israel war that's happening right now. So because of all of these things, space is very important from the security standpoint, and our software gives strategic analytics to different agencies about the movement of space assets. So most of our beta testing happening right now is with a couple of government agencies that we're working with, like India, Singapore, and few other agencies where we are using this data sets and the analytical platform that we have to provide services and understand and iterate the software platform that we have at this point in time.
Right, so working there with Singapore and India. But, speaking about your other launches, you also hope to launch 2 space-based sensors and 2 observatories in India. So tell us about these plans. How soon will we see this happen? And where do you plan to open these observatories?
So the first thing about space-based satellites, we're launching 2 this year and 38 in next 3 years. So the first 2 satellites that we're launching will fly very soon. It had to fly early this month, but things got delayed on the launch side. So we're launching it pretty soon in next few months, I would say, the first sensor. And the second sensor will go in the end of this year on a PSLV. Apart from that, on the ground observatory side, we're looking at building this out. And I mean, the construction has already begun in Ladakh. Uh, that's our flagship observatory that we have in the northern part of India. Apart from that, we are also building out another one, like we've announced in the past, in Uttarakhand.
All right. Okay, Anirudh, we're completely out of time, but thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.